as well as Chad Huval. Moving closer to me, dead center, with the wonderful hat, we have Little Ed Williams from Little Ed and the Blues Imperials. And then finally, to my immediate left, from Solas, we have John Williams, Win Horan, and Seamus Egan. So please give them a big round of applause. And one of the cool things about these artists, I mean, they've got great longevity. A couple of them celebrating real milestone anniversaries, and just want to start off working with Beausoleil, who now marking with this year their 50th year on the road together. So
51st. 51st.
Oh, I've been corrected. 51st. And it's just a great treat to have them here back in Lowell. And Michael, just to sort of dive in and get started, what I think is really interesting about all these groups is, as you reach at your starting point, you all sought out, learned from some real masters in each of your traditions. Can you talk about, as Beausoleil was forming, what you guys were doing to go out and learn from some of the greats?
You got an hour? Okay. Thank you very much, Lane. No, but before Beausoleil was even an idea, what happened to me, we had a relative who died. What? Hey! And we had a relative who died, and and all this music went with him. And so I said, well, somebody should record this. And so I started doing that. And then that one thing led to another, and because I was really interested in the music. Now, this is around late 60s, 1960s into early 70s. People were not having that much respect for our music. I mean, people still played it. Our people still played it, but anybody else, that's just out-of-tune music. And I took a course in this, folklore at LSU in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, with George Abrams, who he and Roger, somebody wrote a book on this thing. And so I said, well, what? So we're going to study like child ballads, blues, Native Americans. We're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 50 miles away. I said, well, what about French music? And he said, oh, that's just translated English songs. I said, oh, yeah? Okay, so I went directly into the book place and found a lot of things as far as people who had recorded, like the late Dr. Harry Oster and Irene Whitfield Holmes. So anyway, it was amazing to have read this book, and then all of a sudden to meet the people who were in the book, people who recorded in the 1920s. And all I had to do was knock on their door and speak French and bring a pound of coffee, and we were friends for life. So I guess we should do a Dennis McGee song, because Dennis was, I didn't think, Dennis recorded back in 1929, and he was amazing in a lot of ways. One is that he recorded with his brother-in-law, Sadie Corville, who decided he didn't want to be known as Cajun, so his name is not on the record, but his other buddy was. And so they played twin fiddles, and that's where our twin fiddle style sort of come from. That's what we get. He also played with a great accordion player, two great accordion players, same session. One was black, the first black accordion player to play. We call him Creole, but there's no color. We kind of don't have a color code in Southwest Louisiana for a lot of reasons. And he was the first to record with Amédée Ardouin, who was one of the most prolific musicians ever. He was a poet and a great accordion player. People are still trying to play like him. Dennis accompanied him, and he also accompanied Angelas Lejeune, who, compared to those two guys, Amédée Ardouin and Angelas Lejeune, we get almost 80% of all traditional music that we know today. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
That's a damn dissertation, man.
That was pretty good. That's a good start.
Okay. You want me to continue?
Oh, well, I think just before, I would love to hear one of the songs that one of the tunes you associate with your mentors.
Oh, which did it? Pick one, man. Go. Man.
Just start playing.
Well, let's do the reel like this then. Okay. This is, Dennis called this La Danse Carrée, or square dance.
Beausoleil. Thank you. So just to keep things moving, we've got, Ed's joined us from Chicago, and Ed, your uncle was a real important figure in the 1950s blues Chicago blues sound, and you grew up really having exposure and time with some of the real living legends, or not living legends, but legends of Chicago blues. Who were some of the people you were coming across?
Well, when my uncle decided to teach me and my brother, actually I started playing drums for him. He would come over to the house and play for the family, and I would see my aunties and all my cousins and uncles. They would be all get together, and they'd be having fun, eating food and drinking and playing good music. And I seen my uncle do some things I had never seen nobody do before. They was having a party out there, and they had these garbage cans just turned upside down. So I was kind of wondering what was going on with that. And next thing I know, I look up, and there's my uncle walking on these garbage cans, walking through the crowd of people, and that was amazing to me. I remember seeing him in the dining area, because back in the day, the kids could not hang around the grown-ups when they were doing their thing. So we had to peep in to see what was happening, and I could see him playing, and I could see the slide just shimmering in the darkness, because we only had 40-watt bulbs. There was no 100 watters. It was kind of dim back then. Yeah.
It lasts long.
Yeah. So I remember that, and I remember him calling me into the dining area and asking me did I like what I heard, and I told him yeah, and he said that he asked me did I want him to teach me, and it started from there.
Yeah. And could you, just so everybody knows, could you tell us who your uncle was and some of what he did?
J.B. Hutto of J.B. Hutto and the Hawks. It was amazing, because I'd watch Uncle J.B. play all the time, and to see the expressions on my aunts and my uncles' faces. Sometimes they'd be laughing, sometimes they'd be crying. It was amazing. It was just outstanding, to see that happen. Then we started to go and seeing him play, and that was another good thing for us. To see JB walk the crowd and see him. One time he stepped off the stage and his foot went up in the air and he landed flat on his back. And me and my brother, we reached for him. We was going to pick him up, and he's like, get away, get away. I know what I'm doing. Get the hell out of here. But cut that high end for me. Just high end on it. Cut that high end. Just a little bit for me. First song I heard him do was this. Say, give me a pencil and paper. Said, I just want to figure out your time. I'm going to put it down in black and white. Honey, you know, I ain't lying. Said I walked in that beer tavern. You and your man was having fun.
Yeah. Little Ed Williams. Thank you. So now at least there's a little bit of a thread from Chicago to Chicago. John's from Chicago, and Seamus and Wynn both also from Irish American communities here in the U.S. But you guys also spend a lot of time going back to different parts of Ireland, learning from masters just like Ed and the Beausoleil guys. What memories of the people who were real mentors for you come to mind? Let's start with Seamus, I guess.
Well, I had a sort of a split experience because I was born in the States, but then my family moved back to Ireland, and that's where I started to learn about music when I was about 6 years old, and a lot of it was just from going out to sessions and sitting in with people, and as little kids. My parents bringing us around and, going to a pub in the afternoon on a Sunday and, putting the little cassette recorder on the table amongst the pints of Guinness and everything and learning tunes that way. So, that the session is such an important part of learning both the actual tunes and the songs, but also about how the whole social aspect of the music and how it connects to life. Like in a session, there are so many unspoken sort of rules that you quickly learn, but no one ever tells you.
Until you do it wrong.
Until you do it wrong, and then you realize that you've stepped in it. But you only do it once.
What about Wynn or John?
Well, thank you. Lovely to be here with y'all today. Obviously, I'm representing the women. And,
Yay!
didn't know if it needed to be said, but say it anyway. And I grew up in New York. My parents, my mom and dad were from Ireland, so I'm the child of immigrants. First generation, yes. And my musical background. Well, my father, obviously they were from Ireland, but my father, they're from the same hometown in Ireland, a place called Arklow, County Wicklow, and it's on the east coast of Ireland. And the east coast of Ireland, the time my parents were growing up, they wouldn't have been as exposed to traditional Irish music, just by their geographical location. So down the west of Ireland, all the tunes and the sessions were happening, and the East Coast, they were doing different things. My dad was a jazz musician. He played with dance bands. He's a trumpet player, and my mom was an Irish dancer. Anyway, they got engaged and they decided to make their life over in New York, and my dad brought his trumpet, and he played piano, and he played in a couple of jazz bands in New York. And it wasn't until he emigrated to the United States that he became really enamored and in love and fell passionately in love with the traditional culture of Ireland, being the music. So when he had his kids, I think all immigrants, I know this, their hearts remain fractured forever. And because of that, they tend to cling so much more tightly to their culture and their traditions. They obviously bring them to this new world. And my father wanted to make sure that we were deeply connected with where our people came from. So he gave us all, he learned the fiddle in New York and taught all his kids. So that's my, melting pot of New York City. Yeah.
Well, that's a great story. And John, what about you and trips back to Ireland or your exposure?
Well, my mother's from Mayo, so there's a Mayo connection within Sellis. Seamus grew up in Mayo and Philly, and My father's from Clare, a little village that was pretty much unknown until after he left. And it seems like it became really well known for music, a village of Doolin, County Clare. Has anyone been to Doolin? Anyway, my parents took us back when I was 4. And all I remember about Ireland was like the greenness and a little donkey my Aunt Agnes had, and a picture of a 4-year-old being put up on a donkey in a picture. And I went back again when I was 14, and I had been playing music in Chicago, but I was old enough to go into the pub and maybe play a handful of tunes. I did a lot of recording on a little tape recorder and cassettes with batteries, and that was the currency. You'd collect a few tunes, and the summers got so hot and torturous in Chicago. I always thought, my God, there was a heat wave where people were actually dying in Chicago, and I was thinking, if I could only get back to Ireland, it's nice and cool and wet and gloomy and rainy. People playing music all the time. It was opposite of Chicago, and you might play music on the weekend in Chicago, but in Doolin they were playing music every night. So I love that, and I went to live with my dad's oldest brother, Paddy Williams. It was the house across from the school in Doolin, and it used to be an old thatched 3-room cottage, and since my dad had left Doolin in 1946 and spent 10 years in Dublin, then came to Chicago in 57, there hadn't been a tune played in that house until I came back in 1989. So it had been 40 years since Paddy heard the accordion or the concertina near the turf fire. And I was there, the American nephew, to work on the farm. They never had any children. Paddy and Agnes got married late in life. And at one point, when all the work was done, I was there for about 6 or 7 days. And I'm like, do you want to hear a tune? And he's kind of like, well, if you must, you know. So I take out the concertina and I play, and he's looking out the window. He gets very silent. And he said, my God, we haven't heard a tune in this house for about 44 years. And this was the house for house dances, and everybody met their future spouses at the house dances long before there were pubs in Ireland. And my grandfather played for all the house dances. I asked him, how did your father die, Paddy? And Paddy said, he died from the music. I'm like, what does that mean? He said, well, there were only 2 musicians, Willie Shannon on the fiddle and old Johnny Williams. And they would go on horseback to these other house dances and play, and the house was like a sauna. And they'd be sweating bullets, and they'd push the table up against the wall, and there'd be 2 musicians on chairs on the table, and there would be a clarinet going on. And also, you know, it might be a bit of punch and mischief happening outside the house. But coming back from those house dances on horseback in Irish weather, he got a cold in his kidneys and died. But anyway, Paddy, it appeared that Paddy wasn't very happy with the music. I said, Paddy, do you want me to put it away? What's wrong with the bit of music in the house? You said this is the house of music 44 years ago. He said, John, every time I heard my father take out the accordion, if there wasn't a house dance, it was because my mother was giving birth in that room over there. And the accordion was to drown out the pains of childbirth. And because he was the oldest son, he was thinking, oh my God, now we're going to have a family of 12. They were already subsistence farmers. And of course, everybody immigrated except Paddy got stuck with the farm. People thought he inherited it. He said, no, it's like an anchor around my neck. So when he would hear the music, and my granddad would play loud enough so that my grandmother could give birth, and there'd be a midwife in the next room just delivering. And on the Mayo side, my grandmother was a midwife, and she actually would go off on her bike with her medical kit and deliver all the children, and she only knew 4 tunes on the accordion. But she would play at the christening of all the people she delivered. She'd play at the weddings, and sometimes she'd play at the funerals. So some children didn't make it past their 2nd birthday. They'd get an earache back in those days and just die because there's no penicillin. But look, we'll bring you down later. I got loads of stories.
All right. After that, what would you like to play for everybody?
This is the tune that killed Elvis. No.
Maybe we'll play some jigs for you, if that's okay. Some dance music from Ireland. You're either it's the pendulum swings widely in the Irish tradition. You're either up dancing on tables or you're underneath the table crying into your pint. So here we go. These are some jigs.
We're not happy unless we're sad. And when we're sad, we want to get happy.
Give it up for Solas. Thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody.
So as we kind of go back around, I think what would be great is you guys kind of reflect back on, and I guess I failed to mention as we went through, Ed, you've been playing with your group for about 38 years, about as long as the Lowell Folk Festival has been around. Lots of years spent on the road. And I think maybe as a starting point, both Beau Soleil and the guys here with me in Solas have had the unique and wonderful experience of being on the tour with NCTA. The NCTA had done these tours over the years, and that were both really wonderful, but also putting these great artists with strong personalities out on the road together for extended periods of time. And I am sure, as Michael shakes his head, that there's some great stories. So Michael, David, when you guys think of the days back on those tours, what comes to mind?
Anyone tell a story? There's so many. Got to be about Josh.
I think the bus going in reverse between Albuquerque and Santa Fe, because the bus couldn't go faster than 15 miles an hour, and we could make 20 in reverse.
That was after the fire.
That was after the back end caught on fire. That was the last NCTA tour, I think, ever.
What tour was that?
Masters of the Folk Violin, 1990 or something.
That's when they had the earthquake in
Earthquake.
California. That was fun.
That was a good one, too.
That was a good. We made the mudslides too.
Yeah. And who were on some of those tours with you guys?
Was Allison on that? There was Allison Krauss and Claude Williams and Kenny Baker with Josh Graves and Michael and me and
Seamus Conley.
Seamus Conley and Joe Cormier.
Joe Cormier.
A lot of us. And also Brendan
That's right.
Mulvihill.
Yeah.
There was all on a bus with John Cooper.
Oh my God.
The smart people decided to fly between L.A. and Albuquerque.
Rather than go backwards in the bus?
Well, it was 100 degrees on the bus, too. So we did go through Death Valley. That was a memorable one. The music was awesome, though, every night. Claude Williams was awesome, and that one might have been Louis Bluey. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, he was there for that.
Wow.
Too,
It was, that was good.
Yeah. But what about you, Ed? Any backwards buses in your...
No backwards buses, but I remember us going through California, going through the redwoods up there, and we come up on a mountain, and we're coming down the mountain, and my horn player, I had a horn player at the time. He looks out. He looks. Oh man, there's cars down there. So I'm sitting in the back because I'm terrified. I'm about scared half to death. And I look up, and everybody in the front seat was in the back seat with me. Next thing I know, we get down to the bottom of the mountain, and our wheels are smoking because we burnt the bearings out. And another time, we were playing at a club, and I'm playing, and I'm watching these two guys. They're right in front of me, right? And I'm watching them, and they're pointing their fingers at each other, and and they're swearing at each other. And next thing I know, I played a lick, and I stepped to the side, and this one guy grabbed this other guy and just started tumbling right past me, right into the drummer, just knocked him over drums and all. that was a pretty cool thing.
So you like a little chaos when it happens?
Yeah. It was great.
And you guys are solos. You guys also out on the NCATA tours. What do you remember, both good and scary?
Well, it was funny hearing your bus story because I was on the Masters of the Banjo tour, and we had a bus that only went backwards.
Same bus.
It must have been.
Billy, the bus driver.
It was amazing. And in the bus theme, there was one night we had to drive over the Sierra Nevada mountains, and it was a blizzard. And the bus driver was like, I don't think we should do this. And Joe Wilson, who was the organizer of all of this, was determined that we were going to get across the mountain that night in the blizzard. And I just remember being on the side of the road, and they were putting on the chains on the wheels of the bus, and like you could hardly see anything, like, because there was so much snow, and I think we all thought we were going to die that night, and but we didn't.
Yeah, well, then that's good.
But it left
Very good.
It left a mark on my soul.
What about?
I remember coming through Colorado, and we had to stop and get chains,
You'd never want to see that.
And we never had put chains on the car. So we're down there wrestling, trying to get these chains together. So we take off, and the chains are going flip, flop, and state trooper pull us over, and he goes, "What are you guys doing?" said, we got the chains on the car. He goes, you got them on backwards, assholes.
We've done that. We've done that.
Well, was that you, David?
Yes, we've done that too. We do come from Louisiana, where it did snow 13 inches in New Orleans this year, but that's the most snow I've ever seen. The first time we went across what pass was that in Oregon? We stood there for 3 hours. A truck driver helped us put them on. He said, "We dumb coon asses, man. We don't know what we're doing."
They make a lot of noise. When
Yes, they do.
Let's go fast, everything.
Wow. Forgot about the chain.
The chains.
Well,
The chains. That's the next part of the story.
what about? I mean, any you can share? State trooper came up, being out on the road.
Yeah, I remember being pulled over just because they just wanted to know who was on the bus, and they thought maybe it's some big rock star. The look of disappointment on the state trooper's face when he just saw us sitting in the bus playing video games. I think he had some soul-searching moments after that. But yeah, I felt bad for him.
Yeah, it's all relative. There's certain people who would have gotten on the bus and been very excited.
Maybe, but the odds of that happening on that highway were very, very small.
Yeah.
When our band Solace got to the point of like hiring a bus, I think Seamus found out about the buses from the banjo tour, and so I kind of left the band, but got hired back into the band as a substitute for the guy who replaced me. So I was so happy that like we went from, flying and renting a minivan to a bus tour. Of course, bus tour, to make it happen, you got to stay out longer, but because it's expensive. But we were in, I don't know if you guys remember, we were in Wisconsin one night in Beloit playing like a place, I think it was called Beloit College or something like that. And throughout the tour, the bus driver said, you be careful with that door, the door to exit, because there's something rattling on that. And anyway, that night we didn't follow too much of his advice or anything, but we had the dinner, and there was an opening act, and we were very casual. We enjoyed the dinner. We're about to go on stage in 15 minutes. So we go out to the bus to get our instruments, and we can't get in the bus. The hardware inside the two panels of the door had disassembled, and there was no way to get the instruments out. Remember that? And so they called the locksmith. The presenter was panicking. The locksmith couldn't make it over from Janesville until tomorrow morning. And luckily, one of the presenters had a 4-year-old little boy and who liked climbing. And the bus driver left that little bus driver's window open about this much. And he got up on his dad's shoulders, went into the bus, and he managed to get the door open from the inside. Meanwhile, the opening act was the stage manager saying, "Keep going. You got more material? 3 more songs, please. 3 more songs." So that little 4-year-old boy saved the show, and we got our instruments. We went on stage about a half hour late, but it was fine.
Well, Wynn, we haven't heard from you in a bit. Is there anything you're thinking of?
So much, but I can't actually share. I have a tendency to be, brutally honest. So if I were to share some of the road stories that I've been thinking about, I don't know. I wouldn't want you judging me. No, it's been awesome. Like the whole lifestyle obviously is not something my parents were thrilled about. Although my dad pushed us all to be, involved in the arts and musicians and dancers and all this. When it came time that I was like, yeah, I want to do this forever. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to. This is me. He regretted that. He was, then he wanted to see if I would go to law school or become a doctor because he was worried about the stability factor of being a musician. Him being a musician himself, he knew exactly what he was talking about. Living out of a suitcase and sometimes not being able to pay the rent. But one of the best things about touring and being on the road and being in the music is just that. It's being in the music and being surrounded by your peers and your friends and your buddies. And, we've been lucky enough over the years, can't tell a lie, like, it's really hard being on the road with a band for 30, 40, 50 years, especially if you hate each other, like, or there's serious, like, disagreements on artistic merit and all that shit. But, Solace has been really lucky. We did take a break, though. We've been together 30 years, but after year 22, it was time to step back off the road and, like, take care of ourselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, reconnect with our families in, like, normal life. And, so we did that. And that's worth sharing, because people have this idea of like, let musicians have the life. And yeah, we do. It's amazing. But it's a lifestyle that you have to be tough, and sometimes that catches up with you if you're not minding yourself. And so, yeah, that's the truth. And we had a great 7 years off the road, and this is our first summer back, you guys. Yeah. And,
I really agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, right? But one of the stories I will share quickly is related to all the NCTA sound crew and staff. So Solace has had a long time, like the guys like Bousselet, and the guys have a very long time and beautiful relationship with the NCTA over the years. They've been very good to us, The sound crew and Solace became very close, and over the years we always managed to have some good parties. Some great parties were organized by the crew, and I taught the sound crew, I think it was about 20 years ago, so take that into consideration. If you see some of us hobbling around, we're talking 20, 25 years ago. I taught the sound crew how to play a hotel room party called Don't Touch the Floor. Just think about that for a minute, right? Anyway, I just want to send that out to all the sound crew. I love you guys, and it's so great to see y'all again. Thanks for all the great times.
Thank you. Well, we have about 5 minutes left, and I just wanted to see, one of the great things about these workshops is when we get people from different backgrounds together, what kind of magic can happen. You shared a lot of great stories, but musically as well, and would love to see if there might be something you guys could play together.
Oh, wow.
And I defer to the people on stage with the actual musical talent on maybe who maybe should lead with that. But any thoughts on how to take us out with something?
What key? Well, I can try it. I ain't gonna say I'm gonna be with it, but
I was just thinking about a song from our late governor, who wrote a song called "You Are My Sunshine." But we don't have to. We don't have to do that. Can do a blues. Do God Bless America. I Hate Oranges. What about Baby Please Don't Go? Well, no, it doesn't resolve.
All right, what do you guys think?
Sunshine in My Love?
You are the sun. You are my sunshine. It's fine.
You mean this? Yeah, we can do this one. No, that's the other Sunshine. You Are My Sunshine. Which key would y'all like to play? Doesn't matter. Any key?
Whatever works.
Yeah,
Any key.
Now you want a Baby Please Don't. We'll play it later.
Later.
G?
Yeah.
G.
Vous êtes mon soleil, mon unique soleil. Tu m'as fait de quand ciel s'ennuie. Tu vas jamais connaître comment je t'aime. Laissons faire mon soleil va quitter. there's some Irish in there.
Let's hear from Little Ed Williams there, Chicago. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You gotta sing. Make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I was sleeping, I dreamt I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. Please don't take my sunshine away. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy, 'cause as I pray, I don't see you singing out there. No, dear, how much I love you. Okay, let's hear Lowell, Massachusetts sing. You guys gotta sing it. Okay, everyone on stage, one more time with feeling.
Thank you guys so much. Please give it up for Beausoleil, Little Ed Williams, and Solas. You can catch them all again playing throughout today, this afternoon, into this evening on other stages. Thank you so much. Please give them one more round of applause. Thank you guys. That was amazing.
Thanks, guys.
And we've got some great polka music coming up next.